Don't change that dial. It's time for your go-to source for all things entertainment and caffeinated. Now give it up and welcome to the stage, Eva and DJ!
I'm DJ Blockfile.
And I'm Eva Crow.
And this is the Inks and Lattes podcast, where we're spilling the ink and dishing out drinks. We're both members of the Creative Coffee Cafe Discord network, an amazing place where creatives can come together, chill, bounce ideas, and get support from their fellow creatives. It's an awesome community, and now we're going to feature work from some of our talented members.
So today we're going to showcase the upcoming release Digital Extremities from one of our CCC members, Adam Bassett. Digital Extremities, a sci-fi slice-of-life short story collection, comes out online this September and is available for pre-order now on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Campfire, and Kobo. A collection of 8 stories, Digital Extremities shines a spotlight on ordinary people in a callous yet hopeful future. Set across small towns and remote islands where neon flickers against old buildings and oaks, this collection paints a unique view of a traditionally cyberpunk setting. In 2089, a woman miscarries and seeks a way to find peace amidst overwhelming grief. Years later, a young man must find a way to pay rent outside of his job at the glassblowing studio. A pair of students, excited to go to college, install new hardware that promises to improve their cognitive functions. A private investigator searches for a missing child who has a reputation for embarking on risky adventures. Each tale is shaped by love, loss, and perseverance, weaving a vision of life outside of the megacities.
Digital Extremities was written by Adam Bassett, a user experience and user interface designer at Campfire, where he helps make writing and reading apps. He's published short fiction in Nature Erupts, as well as select issues of World Building magazine. He's also contributed to the upcoming collection of poems Blooms of Dawn, and one of the stories from Digital Extremities will also appear in Rare, an anthology by Alex Parker Publishing, coming out soon. Adam's also an illustrator of fantasy maps, some of which have been published in books such as Season of the Dragon by Natalie Wright, The Ascendature by Robin Dabney, and Under a Pirate Flag by B.H. Pierce. And, to top it all off, he's also writing a book about map design which is expected to be released early 2025. So again, be sure to pre-order your copy of Adam Bassett's sci-fi slice-of-life short story collection, Digital Extremities, available online on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Campfire, and Kobo, set to release September 24th, 2024, with a printed edition planned for the future. And just a quick reminder for some other great CCC-related things. Aster at Aster's Mystic Bedhead has a shop on coffee. Check out Aster's Tiny Art and snag your own adorable, one-of-a-kind piece of Aster's Tiny Art.
Justin at The DM's Guide is open for TTRPG map-making commissions. You can DM him on Instagram at The DM's Guide or reach out to him via his...
Luna Wolf Wyoming Designs also has all kinds of beautiful tumblers, mugs, and stemless wine tumblers. They offer pre-made designs and also accept custom orders, such as the little Inks and Lattes one that you have there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Owner and creator Vicky has put out a special dripping creativity tumbler as well that is amazing, and 15% of the sales of those go back into the Creative Coffee Cafe.
And lastly, don't forget to visit the Bewitchery, a small online shop that offers candles, spell kits, fragrances, jewelry, and a lot of other great things. And again, all the links can be found in the description below. So now I guess it's time for our topic of the week. So today, DJ and I are going to be discussing fantasy worlds on screen. So, DJ, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, sure. I guess we're gonna make this kind of a two-parter of fantasy worlds. We talked about it, and we figured talk about fantasy world. There's a lot to cover, and so we're gonna split it. We're gonna talk this week about fantasy worlds on screen, so in movies, on games, anything you see on a TV or screen or something like that. And then the next one we'll actually do about fantasy worlds in print, because there's a bit of a difference sometimes when you're world building for something that you're showing on screen and something you're showing in print. Because in the screen, you're actually showing the world. And so you really have to put, I don't know if you have to, I almost think you have to put more thought into how it looks like when you're in print, because you're actually having to imagine. But at least then people can kind of imagine what it looks like. Where if this thing when you're building, especially visually, when you're building a world, a fantasy world, what you're showing is what people are going to picture. So
Hmm.
you really have to make sure that you get it right. Because if it doesn't give that feel that you're going for visually, it can really throw things off, right?
Right, for sure. For me, I mean, I'm just going to touch on it at the beginning because I know it's a very hot topic for people. When you're talking about fantasy worlds on screen, obviously one of the big ones that comes to mind is Harry Potter. All the
Yep.
things with J.K. Rowling aside, just as a world, a fantasy world goes, it is extremely well done. There are obviously going to be those little things that kind of people have kind of said with her that like it's just oh because it is. It just is this way because it is, you know. But to be fair, she has done a pretty good job of bringing that to film. Like the films really, in my opinion, I love the films. Um, the world building in those is incredible. It's so rich with every little teeny tiny detail in the films. It's insane how much detail went into making that entire universe of Harry Potter. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, like when you think about it, there's not too many ones where like they did a good job of kind of taking what she built in the books and making that appear on screen. And probably the best examples would be that, and probably the Lord of the Rings trilogy as well is
For
another
sure, Lord
great
of the Rings.
example of, yeah, where, and to be fair, it helps that Tolkien was really detailed in how he described a lot
Mm.
of things. So the attention to detail, he made a whole freaking language for his world.
Right.
Talk about world building right there, right? Like his attention to detail. And I think that's one thing, like I feel like some people are really good at like kind of the macro view of like the big, like what you see and how the scope of
Hmm.
world building. And then some people like Tolkien are really good at the small little
Yeah, it's the
details that
difference
kind of
between
fill in the spaces.
yeah, the big picture, little picture kind of thing where there's that like kind of zoomed out worldview. And then there's the kind of like really honed in, like the little bits in Lord of the Rings, like in the Shire, are such good examples of just like amazing fantasy world building. Like all of the little details of those people, the way they live. The Hobbits, that whole bit is really good, like up close. This is exactly how this world is. This is how it operates. All of those things play a huge role in just really making it like come to life on screen.
Yeah, it's really nice when characters don't feel like they're just NPCs, like they're just there to fill a space. It
Hmm.
feels great when you actually feel that these are real people living in a real world and not just there just for the sake of the characters.
Right, right. Um, what's another? Oh, have you ever seen Westworld? Have you seen that?
I saw the first season of that one actually. That's definitely another one where they really did, yeah, a good job of world building. And it's funny because again, that one came from a book again too, right?
Right. I believe it did. And that's the thing.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
one of those
pretty sure
people
it
that
did.
believes like all the best movies are books, but that's just me. That's a whole separate thing. But
But
um,
I mean, I guess there's probably, if you think about it, the good reason for it is because when you're writing a book, you really have to like go into detail about what the world looks like and describe it. And so
mhm,
in that case, like, whereas if you're building a world specifically for screen that's never been written before, you almost have to like. I can see it a bit harder because you don't have a source material to go from. It's almost like the difference
right.
between the world building in Game of Thrones season like 1 through whatever the books that J.R. had written, and then all the seasons after that where they didn't have the source material to work from anymore.
Right. It's like one of those things that's kind of not really based off the book and then it's just like the aspect of gaming video game world building. Like for me, I love the fantasy world building in Skyrim. The Elder Scrolls is
Yeah,
fantastic. It's one of the best. I mean, love it or hate the games, however you feel about them, you can't deny like the level of detail that went into that game franchise in general, but Skyrim in particular. There's so many little things like learning about the different social constructs of the world and people like the Thieves Guild and the Brotherhood, like all the different things, that play into the actual world just make it that much better. I mean, and there's even little things in Skyrim of like recipes that you can read in books that you pick up. There's the little, like, there's just so many intricate details that perfectly kind of design that world and immerse you in it while you're playing. And I think that's like what makes it such a good thing from screen to the difference between screen and print is I don't know. It's hard to explain how different they are, but yet they're very similar at the same time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess the one difference between on screen and in print is in print it would be a lot to go through all the small little details that the because you're often just talking from the character's perspective in a book, right?
Hmm.
So there's a lot of like you can't see everything, but when you're showing something on screen, you can just show all these little details
Hmm.
that you wouldn't really be able to write about in a book. And so, but filling it in, and that's I think the world building needs those little details to really create a good, effective, and the best kind. Mass Effect is another one. Like I know we
Hmm.
talk about Mass Effect a lot, one of our favorite games, but again, great example of world building. All the little different codex entries that they have in there too,
Mm,
kind of fill in the background of the world, and it makes those little noticeable things that they put in the game that much more noticeable, and
yes.
it fills in the details of how the world works and functions too, right?
Right. Like not even and that's the same thing with kind of that's why I love BioWare, to be honest, is because of their ability to kind of create this entire universe within their franchises. Like even Dragon Age with the little details, like you said, of spoiler, slight spoiler for Dragon Age, but the scene where you're talking to Cassandra in Inquisition and you realize she's reading a smutty book that Varric wrote. That is
That
one of
was my
those little
favorite part.
tiny world building things. You know what I mean? That's like you
Yep.
know Varric in these games from I think 2 is when you meet Varric, right? I believe. And like
I mean,
you know
I
all
never
these
played that
things
one
about
before,
him.
and even I knew that.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
you
like
you
they had.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, they like even I never played Dragon Age 2. Dragon Age was my first one, and even at that point, they had built both those characters up well enough
Hmm.
that I understood the implications of seeing Cassandra reading smut and then
Yeah.
finding out that it was written by Varric and being like, "Oh, oh."
Right, because like they mention how Varric like is a writer and stuff like that, but they never mention that little detail. And it's one of those things that doesn't necessarily seem like world building, but it absolutely is. You know what I mean? Like it's absolutely part of the world building of that franchise is just who those people are. That all contributes to world building in general. Um, and then I was trying to think if there was any other like with Dune. Have you watched the new Dune
Yeah, no,
movies?
I have not seen anything when it comes. I never haven't read the books, haven't seen the movie yet. Plan on doing it eventually at some point.
Yeah, that's one
There's
of
so many
those
things I keep telling myself.
I know there's never enough time in the day, but that's one of those world building examples that I feel like personally, which this may be a hot take, but I feel like it's better in the films than it is in the books. That's just my personal
Really?
opinion on it. Yeah. Um, Sci-fi, I sometimes struggle with sci-fi world building in books. Not all the time, but sometimes I do. It's just not my go-to. I'm very much like a hard fantasy, vampires, demons, fae, all of that stuff, werewolves, that's more my bag. But I
Yeah.
love the way they portrayed the Dune world in the new films. It is stunningly beautiful. It helps me piece together the little things that I either forgot about through the books or couldn't quite imagine because it's so epic at times. It's just really well done in the films. If you haven't seen them yet, DJ, you should absolutely watch them. They're very good.
Yeah. I'm thinking like I think one difference too, and why maybe sci-fi might work better on film as opposed to books compared to fantasy
Hmm.
is with sci-fi. Uh, a lot of the stuff they put in there is stuff that no one's ever seen before. Whereas with a lot of fantasy stuff, it's based off stuff that's kind of like
Right.
we know from the
Folklore,
past, right?
right. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So they're worlds that we can have already like kind of been created before. We can visualize them easier, so it's easier to read them in a book because we can kind of see them in our mind from what we're reading. Whereas with sci-fi, I imagine it'd be hard to like envision a world that you've never seen before, even with certain descriptions. So in a movie, once you actually show what that can look like, it's a lot easier to visualize and imagine what living in that world is like.
Right. And I think that obviously totally varies per person and their individual tastes and stuff like
Oh
that.
yeah.
Because I love sci-fi, but I do sometimes struggle, I think, for that reason, because it's a lot of it is just something that my brain can't quite piece together as well as I would like it to. So, yeah, I do think that for me personally, I prefer a lot of sci-fi stuff in film over uh, reading sci-fi work. But um, I think we should probably maybe get into our picks if you want to take
Do our
that
picks of
away.
the week. All right, I guess I can start. So we're gonna pick our one of our favorite fantasy worlds on screen, and I was thinking about it like different worlds. I wanted to choose something that people might not necessarily think of when they think of a fantasy world.
Mm-hmm.
And considering we're doing it on screen, we can do TV shows, movies, games. My pick is the show The Good Place.
That's a good
And
pick.
I think you have. So you said you've seen a couple of episodes of that, right?
Yes, a few.
Like in the first season, I'm guessing.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna try to make this spoiler free, but uh, basically there's a few different aspects. The whole point of the show is that the character Eleanor Shellstrop is has died, and she's gone to quote unquote the good place, which
Hmm.
is basically like a way for them to call the place without calling it. It's basically heaven without calling it
Right.
heaven.
Right.
Basically, imagine like if all the religions, and they even describe in the show how just like yeah, all the religions were kind of right in one kind of aspect. They all got like maybe about 5% right, except for this one guy named Doug Fussett, who actually like when he got high ended up getting about 92% right, and they actually like were really impressed and put a plaque in the office for him because they're like, man, this guy he got it like almost
They're like,
right
this
there, he's
guy's
the closest
onto
by
it.
far. Yeah, the humor in this show is great. I love the just little details they put in there, just that have nothing to do other than just at that they just like you know what, that's funny. Let's put it in there. One of the thing I was just reading actually, and I was just reading a thing about the world building that they did for it because one problem they had to realize was with how time flows in
Mm,
heaven compared to Earth because on
right.
some aspects they have to go back to see what the life is like on Earth, and it's kind of like, all right, how do we explain that 300 years has gone by, but you can still go back to Earth in the present day that they were at before? And what they ended up doing for that was they came to the conclusion where it's kind of like, okay, maybe time goes in a straight line up
Mm,
compared to like a normal timeline, and then they can
right.
just go back down, whatever. And then someone came up with an even better, hilarious idea where, like, wait, what if that line is just curved? And it just goes meanders, and they end up creating a timeline where the timeline looks like the words "Jeremy bear me." And it allowed them to basically just fiddle. They can just do whatever they want,
Right.
and they can easily explain anything away by the fact that just time just curves and it doesn't make any sense. And it works with the show because the theme of the show is very humorous, and it's kind of like you
Right.
can tell that it works with the humor of the show in that kind of sense, where they actually did a really good job of taking like how everything works in the world seriously without taking the entire show all that seriously too, which is great. So you've got the good place, you've got the bad place, and they even create a place called the medium place, which is in between the good and the bad place.
Right. Like a purgatory type
Yeah,
place.
yeah, a purgatory correct place where it's like basically all these things that are the person basically how the medium place worked is that the person that went there got to choose something that they wanted. So the people that were in charge of the good place would give them the thing they wanted, and the bad place was allowed to kind of like make it a little less awesome than what you would want it to be.
Yeah. When I saw that that was your pick, I was like, oh, that's such a good pick, actually, that I would have never thought of. because like I said, I've seen some of the episodes and it was really funny. I just like wasn't it was one of those shows I couldn't catch when it was coming out. But
Yeah, well, I didn't
it's
catch it when it came out either, but and then so but yeah. Oh, you should definitely. You'll love the show. Oh my
yeah,
god.
and I love that like the whole premise of it is basically like the most standard version of like a fantasy, the concept of a fantasy world, because heaven and hell, like nobody actually knows. If nobody knows if they exist,
Yeah,
nobody knows what they're like if they do exist. So it is kind of like the perfect definition of like a fantasy world on screen where they're just like, well, this is how it is to us. This is how it is in our opinion. So, and it's just really kind of a
and
cool concept.
the interesting thing too, and this isn't really that much of a spoiler. They don't actually show what the bad place looks like, really.
Oh, really?
You don't actually see the bad place. They describe it in
Right.
many details and all the and they when humorous things about that happen in the bad place, but they never actually go there. And so that's again, it's one of those things where they build up this world in a way where it's almost like written in almost like in a book way where they describe it and you can visualize it, but they don't actually
Right.
show it. So it's this kind of thing where you can imagine it's almost like imagine the worst place possible, and that's what you have to imagine, and then but they fill in like all these little details so that you can kind of imagine it on your own.
Right, right. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to check it out because what I did watch was really good and it was really funny, and I love Kirsten Bell, so yeah, I'm gonna have to check it out, I think.
And Ted Danson is
Yeah,
so
Ted
good in
Danson's
this one
great.
too. Oh my god. Oh my god. I just love that this very the nature of it is it mixes humor and philosophy actually. There's a lot of philosophical talk and stuff like that. So if
Right.
you're into that kind of like psychological, but mostly philosophical kind of basis to it, then oh yeah, yeah, like especially like philosophical as far as like afterlife too and things like that, like
Mm-hmm.
the ideas of what goes on when we die, kind of idea.
Right, right. Um, well, did you have anything else you wanted to add before I go on to mine?
Um, well, one other thing I actually, one other detail I didn't
Yeah.
really like, because basically how the good place and bad place works is that in order to get into the good place, basically they put a point, you get a certain amount of points for each action that you do on Earth. And if you get enough points, then you go into the bad place. And if you don't get enough points, you go to the bad place. And at one point they actually put like showed an infographic with all these different actions and these points that you would get for it. So let's say you ended slavery, you would get plus 814,292.09 points. If you let someone merge into traffic, you get like a certain amount of points for that. I think it was like 10
Right.
points for that or something like that. Or if you never discussed veganism unprompted, you get 9,885.55 points. And then they have, of course, then they would have like the bad action. So if you revved a motorcycle, you got minus 64.42 points. Or if you were the commissioner of a professional football league in America, you got minus 824.55 points.
That's
Or if you
hilarious.
sexually harassed someone, if you were root for the New York Yankees, you got minus 99.15 points. If you used Facebook as a verb, you get minus 5.55 points.
Awesome.
So just little details like that. Again, little details make the world building and it was just an infographic that they put up for maybe like 10-15 seconds in the show. But like it just oh, I love when they do little details like that.
Oh yeah, it's the best. It's the best kind of world building. It's the ones that just have those little intricate things that just add to it. Um, so yeah, I would definitely
Oh,
check
your
out The
turn.
Good Place. Um, my pick is surprise, something that is on screen that is based off of a book. However, the reason I chose it is because as much as I love this series as a book series, and the show got canceled because Netflix sucks. Um,
Netflix, yeah.
yes, Shadow and Bone is my pick because I prefer the world building in the show over the book. And to be fair, I love Lee Bardugo, the author of that series. It is one of my all-time favorite series that got me back into reading after like a 10-year hiatus. So yes, no shade to Shadow and Bone the series. However, the Netflix show version is exceptionally good with the world building for a few reasons. First reason, in my opinion, why it's so much better is because they took two separate series that Lee Bardugo wrote one being Shadow and Bone, which is a trilogy series, and then one called Six of Crows, which is a duology, so 2 books. So they combined them into one show. And there are certain aspects that hold true to the books, and there are certain aspects that do not, that are completely made up for the show plot-wise. It got canceled after, I believe, 2 seasons. I don't think there's a 3rd season. Oh, I'd have to check that. But it's just so brilliantly done. It's set in a place called Ravka, and it has some heavy, like, kind of Russian influence to the fantasy world of Ravka, but basically, there's these people called Grisha who are people that are born with magic. And there's all different types. There's like one called a heart render that can affect a person's heart rate and stuff like that. And, raise it, lower it, kill them that way, all different things. There's
Yeah.
squallers that can control wind. There's inferni who control fire, all kinds of different things, right? And so that's the Shadow and Bone portion of the show. And then they took Six of Crows, which is a fantastic series on its own. But when they put it into the show, they combined these 2 worlds that take place in the same universe of Ravka and all these other little side territories, but they're completely separate stories normally. Six of Crows has people that don't have magic at all. Like the main character, Kaz Brecker,
So
has
they're
no magic.
muggles, basically.
Yeah. Right. And so I read Six of Crows first, and then I read Shadow and Bone, then Six of Crows. And when the show came out, I was like, how are they going to do this? There's so much world building in the show that it's amazing. You get all of the trials and tribulations of the people as a whole in Ravka, in West Ravka, because they're divided by this thing called the Fold, which is this darkness that spans across the land that is
Oh,
filled with
yes. I
monsters.
remember you telling me
Yes.
about that
Yes,
before.
because
Yeah,
the Darkling is
yes, that's
from
right.
Shadow and
Yep.
Bone, correct. Yes.
Yep.
So that is
With your
something.
favorite villain.
Oh, he's so good. But we won't get into it.
No.
But the world building is just amazing. You learn about all these little side territories, like a place called Ketterdam, which is where Six of Crows takes place normally. And it's like this very steampunk, gritty, think of like old London, dark, gritty,
Okay.
gross people just, crime running rampant and stuff like that. That's very much that vibe, but with like a fantasy twist. And you get these amazing characters like Kaz, who is completely non magic. Kaz is a professional con man. And so you get his whole aspect of where he's from in Ketterdam is wildly different from Ravka, where the Grisha and that whole story takes place. So you're actually getting this massive world building in this one series that covers like a whole continent of different environments and different cultures. Like you learn about the saints and their culture and what like their religion. You learn about literally everything, and the show paints it so beautifully. It's incredible. Like you really got to watch it. It's so good.
So it's still on Netflix then, obviously, I guess, right?
It is. I want to check real quick how many seasons there are. Because how many seasons of Shadow and Bone? Okay, yeah, I think they canceled it after season 2 because Netflix sucks and that's what they do. And it was doing really well. Like it
Yeah.
was really, really popular. And Netflix was just like, eh, and they canceled it. It's one of those that will forever haunt me because they wrote this amazing
It's your
story.
Firefly, basically.
Oh, for sure, because had they just done it exactly like the books, I wouldn't have cared as much. But they changed it. They combined the 2 stories. Because when you read Shadow and Bone and then you read Six of Crows, it's very clear that they're in the same universe. In Six of Crows, there are people that are Grisha and have the magic that come into play, and there are repeat characters
Yeah.
occasionally throughout that book from Shadow and Bone, etc. But in the show, they fully combined it and rewrote basically the entire chunk of it. Like, there's a lot that's the same, but there's a ton that they rewrote, and it's just amazing. It's so good, but the world building is, like, next level in the show, because in the books, I didn't feel like I got nearly as much as I wanted with the world building, and then just because I don't know if it's because it was, like, Lee Bardugo's first, like, major series or what, Six of Crows kinda helped with the world building, but when they brought it to the show, it was stunning how well they showed the entire world of Ravka, Ketterdam, I forget the other places now. There's all kinds of different places. Fierda, Ravka, Novi Zem. Like, there's all these other places that are mentioned in the books very briefly, but then you see them come to life in the show. And it is just spectacular. Like, it is such a good series. I highly, highly, highly recommend it for anyone who
Do you
loves
think
high fantasy or fantasy type settings and world building. It is excellent. I mean, everything down to like the type of money they use, the cultural significance of saints and spirits and stuff like that, the magic and the world building with that in the way that like all magic systems should have rules. That does. And it just makes it a perfect fantasy show. It is so so good. Can't talk about it enough.
do you think combining the two of them actually probably helped enhance the world building then in that kind of sense? Whereas like each so Shadow and Bone and the other one kind of just like they add their own perspective, but this one combines everything so it really feels like a complete world in that sense, I guess, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened because they were fine on their own, but when they combined it, I was very skeptical at first. And then when I realized once I saw it what they did with it, I was like, "Oh man, this makes so much more sense." Like Lee Bardugo kind of jokes that like she almost wishes she would have written them that way. Because it's just so good and they were able to take those characters because the worlds are so distinct. They were able to just kind of make them work together in one show because they are still living in the same universe in those books, but they're in different parts of the world. So it's very different in Ketterdam than it is in Ravka. But then they blend it really
Kind of reminds
beautifully
me
in
of
the
a
show.
Fallout show, what they did with that.
Yeah, yeah.
Where
It's
Fallout like took all the different games and kind of like created like this other world with other characters in the same kind of universe kind of
mhm.
idea, and then made it so that because they were combining all these different ideas, but all they were all separate, but they combined into one world where everything kind of interacts that way.
Right, exactly. So like there are still some elements that are true to the story because they're the big storyline, but they just it took it to another level saying it brought to the screen compared to what I was reading. And that's like I said, I love that series and no shade to Shadow and Bone or Six of Crows, but the show really did it justice. As far as the world building goes, it is so detailed, it is so lush, and you're just like engulfed in this world, and it's amazing. But think we're gonna have to wrap up this episode of Inks and
Yep.
Lattes. So thanks so much for hanging out with us, you guys. We are here every Wednesday as part of the Dripping Creativity podcast, hosted by the amazing Chris Corbin. So be sure to subscribe if you haven't done so already.
And if you want more information about the Creative Coffee Cafe and how you get involved, you can visit the website at creativecoffeecafe.com. You get more info there. There's a sign up form for the Discord. You can join the Discord, have fun with us. We're always looking for new members. And finally, if you have any news or projects or anything else that you'd like us to share, or something to showcase, or something that you want to add on here that we can put in there, send it over to submit at creativecoffeecafe.com. And if we can, we'll get it on the next episode. Have a good day, and we'll see you next week. Thanks again for tuning in to Inks and Lattes, where we're spilling the ink and dishing out drinks.